I'm trying out another topic today. I was just thinking between myself and all my friends and people that I've talked to, I think anxiety is a lot more common in people than we realize. It can feel really lonely when we're anxious about something because we don't realize how much all the people around us experience the same thing. You look out on a highway and you see hundreds and hundreds of cars, and you don't realize how each of these people is probably experiencing the same thing you're experiencing, or some form of that in the same way. Everyone has worries, everyone has struggles and difficult times, and when we put our problems into that perspective, it can make everything feel so much smaller and easier to deal with. I was watching a YouTube video and someone else made a really good analogy about how when you see a baby, you see them trying to take their first steps, you see them stumbling, trying to walk, and they fall on their butt. They start screaming and crying. It's the worst thing they've ever experienced. And then, just in that same way, we make mistakes, something bad happens in our life, and it feels like it's the worst thing that's ever happened to us. It feels impossible to deal with. It feels like the struggle and the pain is never going to go away. And then we sit and we wait and we move past it and we look back and we, just like that baby, it looks like nothing in the rearview mirror. That's why some of these things to be anxious about, you can't fight against them and you can't argue against them. Sometimes it really does just take time. With social anxiety, it just takes time. You're not going to be able to tell yourself in the moment, I shouldn't be worried about this, because it's your body's natural response. It's just going to get better the more you force yourself to do it. And another thing I've been trying to start doing is just being less embarrassed of myself, less embarrassed of when embarrassing things happen. It's just a factor of life. And when you look around at other people and you see those people who just have zero embarrassment when it comes to something, you see that they don't struggle with something like that as much. It shouldn't affect you as severely as it does, because it's really not that big of a deal. If other people aren't going to remember it, why should you? And even if they are going to remember it, what's that changing in your life? Down another vein of anxiety, anxiety for the future. I think as long as we see that we're on the right path or have a goal for the right path, there's no reason to be scared of the future. But in another way, war, sickness, loss of jobs, things that we can't control them. They were going to happen regardless of if we worried about them, if we didn't worry about them, and they're going to continue on or they're going to stop regardless of if we worry about them or if we don't worry about them. Our worry, our fears and empathy, it doesn't change the future, so why continue to worry about it? I've had a lot of frustrations with political science in general, going in as a political science major and reading about, listening to videos about government. It's really easy to become cynical about life and the government and all the things going on that we can't control. Ideas and frustrations with justice are very prevalent because in reality, there's not much we can do, and it's hard to see if governmental figures even do really want solutions, or if they even do really want the best. And if they do, is that even possible? Because we see all of these chains of command that changes have to go through, and it just seems to never happen. Even in another way, agreement upon what is a problem and how to fix it, it feels like no one can come to a full agreement on any issue and on any solution for that issue. It just can feel like there's no solutions for any problem. And that idea, combined with all the terrible things we see in the news, we see them in the news because they're terrible, not because they're so prevalent. Negativity can surround us, and living in negativity really isn't going to benefit your life in any way. When you zoom out of the terrible picture that seems to be life, when you're looking at it through that perspective, and you look at just your own life, things are pretty good in relation to all of that negativity. If you have a place to sleep at night, if you have access to food, access to water, you're better off than such a large percentage of people in the world. I think taking time to be grateful for everything we do have can become important when we're thinking about all of this, all these frustrating things with government and with war and all of this. It's important to be thankful for what we do have and come to peace with a lot of this stuff, because living in that sort of negativity and surrounding yourself with kind of this poisonous air is not going to benefit you in any way. And there is such thing as too much worrying, especially for things that we can't control. But yeah, the justice system, even everything surrounding that. I was doing an internship, a law internship last year, and I was working together in a defense case with a lawyer who was defending a Korean kid who had come to a college on essentially a green card at a school of music. He was a very good violinist, and he was at one of the top schools of music in America. While he was there, had a mental break, and he stabbed a girl, which obviously broke his green card agreement, which is breaking laws while you're in. So he was put into a county jail awaiting deportation, essentially back to Korea, and he was put in a cell with an inmate who was a ex-gang member or current gang member, just a lifetime criminal with tattoos all over his face and body, very obviously criminal gang member. The Korean kid was like 19 years old, just into college. So while he's in there, he allegedly gives the other inmate a piece of paper with a list of names for people he wants to kill. That inmate, the gang member, takes this list that was supposedly given to him to the officers and asks for time off his sentence if he can essentially set this kid up on a phone call with a supposed gang member who would do the killings for him. The officers agree, and they decide the two of them are going to have an iPad which they're going to make the phone call on, and they're going to walk from the cell through to the cafeteria to a private room where they're going to make that phone call where the kid is going to tell them that he would like those people on the list killed. Suspiciously, the camera footage from the cell, the hallway, the cafeteria, and the final private room all go missing. All we have to work on is the phone call and the piece of paper. Now, obviously, this kid is guilty of something. He did stab a girl. He maybe had written a list, maybe had given it to this guy, but we don't know. The camera footage, the possibility that this inmate was forcing this kid to do this so that he could get time off of his own sentence, something just didn't feel right about it. And one key aspect of criminal law is the idea that we would rather let 10 guilty men go free than put one innocent man in jail. That essentially meaning beyond a reasonable doubt. You need evidence beyond a reasonable doubt. So even if you think most likely he did the crime, or it's very likely that he did the crime, you should not call him guilty. He should go free. So in this case, he was being held in a county that was a known racist town. During the trial, one of the men stands up and says, "I can't be a juror for this trial because I am a racist." There were just multiple factors about that felt wrong. He was found guilty, and he was given at least 9 years in jail, probably more, for conspiracy to commit murder. And it just didn't feel right. The jury took one day to come to that conclusion, when in reality there was not nearly enough evidence to call him guilty and to sentence this young kid to that much time in jail. I think that, along with a lot of these classes that I've started taking, has made me very wary to the justice system, and it can get really depressive when we think that the place we're living in has no true justice. But I think that's a conclusion that we have to inevitably come to. We're living in a broken world, and a world where we're not going to find true justice anywhere. And that's why we do have to focus on our own lives, really. Because if we focus on only tragedy, then it will seep into our own life, the negativity. Really similar to that is all these conspiracies. I think conspiracies have gotten even more popular, or if not more popular, then more spread through the media in these past couple of years. And I think a lot of them can seem really true. I think some of them are true, but at the end of the day, there's no point in immersing yourself in conspiracy, because there's nothing you can do about it, and there's nothing anyone can really do about it. and there's no way to prove it. None of it's going to be proved, and if it is proven, you're not going to be the one to do anything about it. All that it serves to do is make you cynical and socially outcast you. Regardless of how true it might look, it's more of a burden that you have to carry than something that's going to free you in any way. As true as it might look, it's not proven, and they're probably never going to prove it. So putting so much time and energy into something that is so much of a dead end is really just a waste of time and a waste of energy. It can be really easy also to see all this and get cynical about life, but I think power and money allow humanity to express its evil side more easily, but I think the majority of people that you run into are good people that are just trying to look out for themselves. When you look around you, you don't really see as much evil as you can think the world contains. The people you meet, they have their own goals and aspirations in life, and I think conspiracy is a really easy way to group people up and start thinking negatively of types of people, when in reality everyone's their own person and people are just trying to look out for themselves like we are. But yeah, just some thoughts on anxiety as I'm working through it myself, and as I see a lot of people around me are too. I think the key aspect is just to let go. Whether you believe in predestination or not, or some form of destiny, life's gonna go the way that it is gonna go. And if you get drafted, if a nuclear bomb kills us all, you're worrying about it, your actions that you take, nothing's gonna change that from happening. So embrace it, embrace what happens to you. I think hardship builds character, and good for the people that don't have to go through it, and those that do usually end up being stronger.